think I'm going to stick to using the microphone stand. I'm a little unsteady on my feet. I'm kind of like the Mars rover. I'm good on flat ground. And I'll tell you why. I knew I was in trouble as soon as I saw them. They were driving a dually, which is one of those really big pickups with 4 back wheels instead of 2. And I could see, I lied. I could see them off in the distance. And they kept drifting to the side of the road, and they would hit the rumble strip and then jerk back into the lane. I was on Old Mine Road, just east of Litchfield, Illinois. I was coming back from my last run as a courier working out of St. Louis. It was, June 6th, 2010. And it was a clear night, so I could see him from far away, and I could see him going off the road. And the problem is I was approaching a stretch of road that had guardrails on either side, and I really did not want to go between the guardrails with him drifting like that. But there was no shoulder. It was just soybean fields after a drop-off on either side. So I went between the guardrails. Instead of going between the guardrails, they hit the guardrail and flipped, and I watched in amazement as the back of the truck rose into the air. All 4 wheels came off and spread across the highway like Stinger missiles. Now, if have never worked as a professional driver, at this point you might slam on your brakes, right? But if you have any experience driving, you don't just slam on your brakes, you try to drive out of the situation. So the 2 wheels were on that side of the road, I could miss them. These 2 are coming straight at me. Instead of slamming on the brakes, I accelerated. I went underneath the tires, which was awesome, except when I came out from underneath the tires, the truck is now completely upside down, sliding down the highway on the roof with sparks flying in my lane. The police report said that we hit it 120 miles an hour. Caved in the side of the car, the airbag came out and broke all my ribs. Every piece of glass shattered, and I went right through the guardrail. And as I went through the guardrail, instead of those bendy guardrails, it had these big wooden posts, which broke off, popped in the air, and spun like a helicopter rotor in front of the car. And I could see it through the windshield, and I said, that's going to come through the windshield and hit me in the face. And then it came through the windshield and hit me in the face. While I'm in midair being hit in the face, let me just give you my injuries here. My foot is completely crushed. Every bone in it is broken. My leg is broken 15 places, including 3 compound fractures, which for you non-medical people means the bone is sticking out in 3 places. All my ribs are broken. The post crushes my elbow, breaks my arm in 6 places, breaks my wrist, and drives my arm into the side of my head so hard that it blinds me in my right eye. And then I landed in a soybean field just east of Litchfield, Illinois, in the smoking wreckage of my automobile. It took 2 hours to cut me out of the car. There was one fireman standing there who looked useless, so while they were cutting, I looked around and I realized my phone is right here in my pocket. So I passed him my phone and I said, could you call my mom? I really just wanted him to feel useful. A minute later, I hear him on the phone and he's saying to my mom, I'm really sorry to have to tell you this, but I don't think he's gonna make it. So I said, can I have my phone back? They cut me out of the car, which is horrific, but then they put me in a helicopter, which is awesome because I always wanted to ride in a helicopter. They had these Darth Vader helmets. It was amazing until I got the $23,000 bill later for the helicopter ride. They're pushing me into the emergency room, and I realize it's Friday night, it's emergency room, so I say to the guy pushing me, it's Friday night, we'll never get in. And he says, sir, I'm sure you'll have priority. And I said, I know, I'm injured, I'm not brain dead. See, when I was in junior high, Ronald Reagan got shot, and I got thrown out of gym class for that because they announced it on the PA, and I said, good. I didn't like Ronald Reagan. But the one thing I admired about Ronald Reagan was the way he joked with his doctors, right, through the whole thing. I thought that was a pretty stand-up guy, so I was trying to do it. And they kept saying, sir, please settle down. The one guy said, I'm really not that hurt. And the guy says, sir, you'd be lucky to make it through the night. And I said, thank you, Captain Comfort. Where did you learn those bedside manners, Auschwitz? And one thing that I can tell you is, you don't ever want to be in a position where someone else has to wipe your ass. They just don't, no matter how well-meaning they are, they don't have the right incentive structure. This Jamaican nurse is arm deep, in my, and I said to her, you're missing, and she says, listen, it's just me and you in here. I can do whatever I want. Which was terrifying, but it also made me a little hard. Well, you don't know what she was gonna do. Everybody that knew me before the accident, they all ask the same question. They say, Tim, were you drunk? And I say, no, I wasn't drunk. And every one of them said, what are the odds of that? Which is pretty accurate. I think the first thing I thought when I woke up in the car is, do you think the liquor stores will be open when I get back? But I'm not bitter about the accident. When people ask me if I'm bitter, I always say the same thing, which is that Plato said it's better to suffer an injustice than to do an injustice to another person. And I'm just thankful that I didn't do that. But I think the most important lesson that I got out of it is, if you're gonna kill me, you're gonna need a bigger truck.